Hey guys, Ezra here and welcome back to another movie review. And on today's video, I want to review Sonic the Hedgehog 3, which was released last week, but it was released recently on my country in Christmas, so I just got a chance to watch it now. And yeah, I was pretty hyped to see this movie, because I was a fan for the first two Sonic movie, even though I'm not exactly the biggest like Sonic game fan, you could say that, because like I don't think I ever played any Sonic game, back in my childhood. I know that they were really popular back in the day. I remember that, but I didn't really, I wasn't really into it, But I knew the characters at least, Sonic. That's it, Like I don't exactly know the other Hedgehog's name, but I do think the movie series really succeeded for making me a fan of Sonic, because I want more from this movie version of Sonic, and then we are getting more in 2027, which I think that's pretty exciting, and yeah, this third movie I think is really good, and of course this will be a spoiler review because the movie's already been out for a week, so be mindful if you guys haven't watched the movie, then maybe don't watch this review, because again there will be spoilers, so yeah, let's start with the positive aspect about the movie, so this movie is once again directed by Jeff Fowler, which is pretty much the guy who is responsible for the Sonic movie franchise at this point, and I'm glad he is, because he's the guy that really care for the material for Sonic, and this is what happened when you get a director or a filmmaker that actually really care for the fans and really care for the source material, and I think the furthest Sonic movie that doesn't necessarily adapt anything from the game is the first movie, but the second one and the third one right now is adapting directly from the video games, or at least took some inspiration from it, so I think that's really cool. And there's probably some Easter egg here that I probably miss, because like I said before, I'm not exactly a video game fan for Sonic, so I don't exactly know the video games Easter egg, so I might miss some of them here. But I will say this, because I think this movie is a great example that how to make a good movie, because like for the general audience like me, I'm enjoying this movie. I want to learn more about the Sonic universe, and I think that's why this franchise are succeeding a lot, and I'm hoping this movie will be a huge success, than the second one, so we can see the franchise grows even further, and yeah, I guess I'm gonna start with the action sequence. I think the action sequence in this movie are fantastic. There is this final fight between Sonic and Shadow that happens throughout the art. Where both of them becoming I think Super Sonic. I think that's how you call it, right? Like Super Sonic and then Super Shadow. And it was like, damn, I did not see that coming, and it was becoming this epic battle in the end. It comes to the point where they stop in the moon, which is reference to the video games, and the VFX as well, from the Shadow the Hedgehog and then Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles as well, I think the VFX are really good, but I do think Shadow here are like the best, has like the best visual effects, because every single time you see him in action, it's just like he looks so good, and it's absolutely fantastic how they how how the Sonic design started, way back in 2020, and then now we get to here where we get to see the accurate design from the Sonic from the video games, and then how the VFX are really holding up in this movie, I think is absolutely fantastic, I also gotta mention the Tokyo action sequence itself, with Shadow, and I think those action sequences are really really good in it, because at some point Shadow did like Akira slide, which I think that's really cool. He also has a gun, which apparently is an item that Shadow has in the video games, but I think in the game he has an actual gun, but in the movie he has a laser gun, which I think, yeah, makes sense because it is like a PG movie, so obviously he's not gonna shoot a real gun, that would be violent, but yeah, I really really love the action sequence in this movie. I think they are fantastic, and of course, we gotta speak about the performers as well, starting with the man himself, Jim Carrey. I'm really glad that Jim Carrey still continue acting, and I'm really glad he came back to portray Dr. Ivo Robotnik and Professor Gerald Robotnik, and I think he's playing two characters, obviously, in this movie, and I absolutely love it, and there is even like a like a fourth wall breaking jokes, where both Jim Carrey look at the audience and it's like, oh, it's almost like we've been portrayed by the same actor, it's like, I love that a lot, I think every single time Jim Carrey just doing Jim Carrey stuff, I absolutely love them for that, and I think this is like the best counter arc for Dr. Evil Robotnik, and I absolutely loved how they handled that characters in the end of the movie, where Robotnik seemingly sacrificed himself, where he tries to steer away the space station, away from Earth, but the thing is that I don't think he's absolute. I don't think Dr. Robotic is permanently, dead. I think there is a chance that he might come back in the future because I have a theory about the ending about this movie, which we're gonna talk about that later. But yeah, speaking of other performance, obviously benschwartz as Sonic is good. Colin O'Shaughnessy, I think, which is like the same voice actress for Tails in the game. I think that's really cool. And then idriselba obviously as Knuckles. All three of them does a great job, but I gotta mention the man himself again, which is Keanu Reeves, as Shadow the Hedgehog, and yeah, I love Keanu Reeves, I think he's an absolutely amazing person, and obviously as an acting wise, I think Keanu Reeves is good on certain roles, and I do think these roles really suit him well, I absolutely love his voice acting as Shadow in this movie, and I do kind of wish that the portrayal for Shadow's backstory could be a bit longer, but I don't know. I still think it's still work, for what the movie is, So I think they still do a good job on that. And yeah, I guess there is some returning human characters like James Marsden and Tika Sumpter, like yeah, I think they're both are good, but obviously they are taking a backseat in this movie, Which I'm not really complaining, because that's what the sequel has been doing, where Sonic and the gang becomes the main character, and yeah, we the audience we want to see Sonic and the gang doing their own adventures. Like I'm not saying that I don't like James Marsden character or even Tika Sumpter's characters. Like I like them, but I want to see Sonic and the gang. And I think the sequel does a good job at making Sonic the main characters because that's literally the title of the movie. And yeah. Besides performance, I think the music as well by Tom Holkenberg, I think this is probably the best musical score in the Sonic movie, because I noticed that he brought some musical elements from the game into the movie, which I absolutely love that, and they even played the music from the game, which I think is called Live and Learn, because again, back when the first trailer came out, people are being hyping that they hear the song Live and Learn in the trailer, and I was like, oh, like what's that song, and then I listened to it and I'm just like, man, I love the song, and I'm so glad that they decided to put the song from the game into the movie, even though again it was played for a little bit in the final battle, I kind of wish that they play that a bit longer, but hey, at least they put that in the movie, so I guess that's good enough, right? Maybe. But yeah. Besides that, I guess the directing is good, the music is good, the action sequence is good, the VFX is good, and of course the performance are also really good. However, there is some. I have some criticism about the movie. Which is basically the comedy about the movie, because I think this Sonic franchise took some the MCU approach, where when sometimes things gets a bit darker, they decide to put some random jokes there, just to be funny, and I'm not particularly a fan of that, even though I think this movie is much better for handling the jokes, than the second movie, because like in the second movie, there is a scene where there is a plot point where Sonic and Tails crash like the wedding, I think, and at the time the movie stops, and you are focusing more on the human characters, which I'm just saying, okay, well, come on, man, like we want to get back to Sonic and the gangs, and there is a similar scene in this movie where where we get to see two Jim Carreys, basically dancing together, which the direct comparison for that is actually when Sonic and Tails are dancing at the Russian or like Siberia pub bar or something like that, which is like it's an unnecessary scene, but I get it why they put that there for the kids, and I think the same reason for here is that they put this for the kids, but I feel like I'm probably much more tolerable for these scenes alone, because we get to see two Jim Carreys dancing, so I think that's really, really fun, but again, is it necessary? No, it's not, it's just there for laughs, and I'm just like, okay, well, I hope in the future Sonic movie they were able to put aside a random scene that was only meant to be funny, because again, I not particularly a fan of that, because the movie stops, and you better hoping that the jokes actually work, because otherwise you have to sit for like 2 minutes and then just listening or like seeing people dancing or having a random funny conversation, and it's just like, yeah, it's just not that engaging in my opinion, but yeah, hopefully in the future they will able to fix that, or like reduce the jokes a little bit, because more serious, but I do think the way they handle Shadow's character here are really good, but I do think I still hoping that the backstory between Shadow and Maria could be explored a bit more, because I feel like they cut like away sometimes, to go away from the flashback, and I was like, man, I was actually really into the flashback, and I was like, okay, like I want to learn more about Maria and Shadow, and then obviously we all know that Maria dies, and that's why Shadow feels, this guilt and pain for the last 50 years, and I really wish the movie dedicated times to focus more on that backstory, and then just let us live through that moment a bit more, because I do think they're going the Maria's death a bit too fast in my opinion, and I was like, we don't really get to live that in my opinion. I still think the backstory does work, like it makes you understand why Shadow feel this way towards humanity and art, like you totally get that based on this backstory, but I wanted the movie to slow down, and just like let us like live with Shadow for a moment that lives up to Maria's death, and let us stay on those moments. I think that will make the movie even better, and in my opinions. And that's the problem with the movie, is that the pacing, I think, is a bit too fast in my opinion, where back in the first two Sonic movie, I feel like the pacing, like it wasn't that fast, it was like it was pretty even in my opinion, but I feel like for the third movie, I actually really feel that the pacing was super fast, and to the point that you have so many characters. I was like, man, I really wish the movie would slow down a bit, instead of just like racing to the finish line. And that's why I think sometimes some scene and some backstory might feel a bit rushed, so yeah, that's unfortunate, so hopefully in the future, in the fourth Sonic movie, which we know is coming, I want them to just like slow down the pacing and just dial back on the comedy, because I feel like it doesn't always work for me, but yeah, besides that, let's talk about the ending, shall we? The ending of this movie, I would say I want to go back to the Dr. Evil Robotnik's, death, quote unquote, I don't think he's actually dead, I think what they're going to do is that when the space station explode, I think Dr. Robotnik might be like, I don't know, like transferred to another world, because we all know there's a multiple fantasy world out there, there is Earth, and there is like mushroom planet, and there is like a bunch of other planets as well, in the galaxy presumably, so I don't think Dr. Robotnik is not dead, but rather he got transported into another world, and that's how he might come back in the fourth movie, because I don't think they're going to just like get rid of like Dr. Robotnik, because he was an important character in the Sonic franchise, and obviously he's played by Jim Carrey, like obviously he's a highlight on every single Sonic movie, so you want him back to portray the characters because he's so funny, so that's why I don't think he's actually like permanently dead, I don't think he's actually dead, this is my opinion though. The other thing is that I want to talk about the mid-credit scenes, which I think is really hype, because like again, I don't really know about the Sonic game, but the audience, in my theaters, they actually know that, so when we get to see Metal Sonic, I was like, damn, like my audience are actually cheering. I was like, oh my god, it's Metal Sonic, and I was like, okay, I never know there is a metal version of Sonic, which I think, yeah, that's really cool, kind of like the Terminator version of Sonic, and there's a bunch of them in the mid-credit scenes, and then when they try to attack Sonic, there is another hedgehog, which is a pink hedgehog that managed to save Sonic, and then this pink hedgehog has a hammer, and it was revealed that this character are actually Amy Rose, and I remember that before this movie released, there is some conversation on YouTube where there is some secret Sonic the Hedgehog character, that might appear in the game, sorry, in the movie, and I think those people are right, I think one of them are, I think some videos mentioning that Amy Rose will be in the movie, which like I think they are right, because now we know that Amy Rose is gonna be in the fourth movie, and I think I don't exactly know much about Amy Rose character, but I read from the Wikipedia that apparently she is a self-proclaimed Sonic girlfriend, and I think some people might find her to be annoying, so okay, sure. I am really curious to see how they're going to handle Amy Rose characters in the future, because I think bringing more characters from the video games to the Sonic movie, I absolutely love that, because again, they are teasing that the future of this franchise is gonna be like the Avengers movie, you know, where we get to see so many like Sonic the Hedgehog character from the game that's going to appear in the movie, and then there's gonna be some Sonic team, and obviously there's gonna be other bad guys as well, you know, which I kind of wait to see that. So obviously this franchise is not stopping soon, and it will grow bigger and bigger to the point that it will become like a Sonic cinematic universe, you know, like it's coming obviously. So yeah, I'm really hyped to see more Sonic characters in the future, you know. But besides that, there is another post-credit scenes, I think, which basically just revealed that Shadow survived the Eclipse cannon explosion, you know, which I think that's good, you know, because I was actually hoping that they don't kill Shadow, you know, because I think Shadow is a cool character, and you know, he is voiced by Keanureeves, you know, so obviously I don't want him to die, you know. So I'm really glad in the end of the movie it was revealed that Shadow actually survived that, and then he's gonna team up with Sonic in, you know, Sonic 4 that's planned to be released on 2027, you know, so that's pretty hype, you know. But yeah, I guess that's my spoiler review for Sonic the Hedgehog 3, you know, guys. I absolutely love the movie, you know. Obviously it's not perfect, you know, in terms of the pacing and the comedic element, you know, but I do think everything else are absolutely amazing, and I'm really hoping that Jeff Fowler can, you know, improve the future Sonic movie even further than before, and obviously this will become like the Avengers level threat, you know, for the Sonic movie, you know, which I cannot wait for that. But yeah, let me know, guys, in the comment section below, what do you guys think about this movie, you know. What is your favorite moment about the movie, you know, and yeah, let me know your opinions in the comment section below, guys, you know, like what is your expectation for Sonic 4, you know. You guys can also let me know that in the comment section below, and if you guys enjoyed this movie review, then make sure to guys, you know, raise the subscribe and like button, guys, you know, and you know, share the videos, the usual stuff, you know, and stay tuned for more movie reviews in the future, guys. And again, I hope you guys enjoyed this movie review, and I'll see you guys in the next one then. Bye.